All right, grown black folks talk. Quick hit number two. Because again, it's very early in the morning. It's only like 44 degrees. And I'm sitting here like, maybe I'll wait for it to warm up a little bit because I hear things clinking like ice out there. Yikes. Anyway, I did what I was supposed to do. Anyway, rigidity, trauma, growth, grown black folks talk. There are a lot of people in the Black community, given our collective shared history. We are the heirs of the survivors of the cruelest form of slavery practiced for the longest period of time. There was nothing like chattel slavery passed on from generation to generation. It was meant to be eternal. Fortunately, the slave owning class panicked in 1861, picking a fight with Abraham Lincoln, who really did not want to pick that fight with them, and blew up their own shop. And another time, I'll do a series about how to understand the Civil War from just a lay historian's perspective. But the point is, there is a lot of trauma in the Black community. And what I've learned about trauma through having a major injury is that there is a process, and a lot of people are just stuck. I snapped an entire muscle. It's not the kind of thing that's ever going to get fixed without surgery. And so that's what I had to go through. But as I went through this process, because I am sort of an observer and fairly well versed in anatomy and physiology, I paid attention to what was happening to me as my body attempted to do this. The first thing the body attempts to do is set up inflammation to put more blood into the area to try to start repairs. Not that it would have ever worked in this situation, but the body always makes the attempt. And for a while, I'll come back to that. More blood flow and pain, so you stop moving it so the body can put things back to the way they were. Now, I was told by the surgeon who told me who was going to do the surgery, but they got replaced by somebody else. So did a totally different approach. But he said your body only has about 2 weeks with an injury like that. If it does not, is not able to recover it, it will shut that whole process down. It'll never heal. You're just not going to have that joint. It will close off the areas. It'll stop hurting, but that leg will never work again. We have to operate. A lot of people are in either stage one of this process of the body trying to be rigid or the psyche trying to be rigid because it's natural. In order to heal, you need some stillness. People psychologically, mentally, emotionally are in a state of either stage one of this or stage two. Stage one, there's still a possibility of them healing. The injury is recent and people are acting out of their trauma. And this creates rigidity of mind and viewpoint. Because if you're hurt, the body attempts to defend itself. But here's the thing about being a human being. You have to actually seek healing for some things of the heals of the mind and of the heart and of the spirit. That's not going to happen naturally. In the same way that I had to have surgery, I had to go and submit to surgery so that things could heal properly. It was not going to happen on its own. People do not always know that. And so sometimes you meet someone and they now are at a point where things have calloused off. They're never going to heal. And the effort, that time also has passed for that person. Now, the human mind is different than the human body. It is plastic. At any age, if you have time enough to work with it, you can. But understand that some people are frozen into their rigid, ridiculous position because of some trauma that may not have been addressed. It may be acute. In other words, it just happened and they are trying to find a way to find their way to answers and to be healed, but they're also very hurt and operating out of hurt, or they may have just frozen this way. And it's important for us to talk about things in this manner in our community because, again, we carry a lot of collective hurt. Patterns from slavery, that passed into patterns from Jim Crow, which now have passed into the post crack cocaine era. So you got multiple generations of things. This doesn't excuse anyone, but understand this. And as someone who is actually an empath, it took me almost 40 years to realize this. You cannot heal these folks. You cannot, you can give them, you can give them all space, you can give them all the love. People have to submit to the process of healing and then to the process of rehabbing. How do you restore yourself to as full a function as possible? One step at a time, little bits of work at a time. surgery, plus physical therapy, plus occupational therapy, plus committing to exercise. Now I'm out here and losing weight so that as I get older, I don't have problems as well. This is a constant process of dealing with this physical injury. Well, when you have been hurt severely, if you grew up in a difficult situation and you have hurt going back to childhood, you will have to seek healing every day of your life and do what is required. And folks, if people are not willing to do this level of work, you cannot help them because you can't, just like anyone else being able to walk was no help to me, people have to submit to the process for themselves. And if they're not willing to do that, they're hobbled. And if they latch on to you, they also will hobble you. I'm not saying don't minister to people. I am a lay minister. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and I work in the community with people of all ages. But what I am not going to be doing year 41 is spending time working with people who are not already submitting to the steps that they can to heal and move forward. And I don't advise you to do it either. I may have to do a series on escape velocity, but for the next quick hit for the day, I'm going to do something about, okay, so let's say it was a physical injury. How do you go through the steps of rehabbing yourself? Well, the steps are actually similar if you're going to change your life from a psychological or mental perspective. They're very similar things that you will do. I'll come back about that. And understanding I'm not a medical professional, I'm just someone who takes steps in their life and keep moving forward. All right, that's number 2. I'll be back with number 3. Bye.